Everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. Recently, I got to sit down with Angela DiMarco and Sara Coates of The Parish. The Parish is a new horror movie that kind of uses horror to talk about a character's grief, which I always appreciate when horror goes the next step. It isn't just a horror movie for the sake of a horror movie. Comes out on VOD March 16th. Angela is the lead in the movie, and she was also completely instrumental in making it executive producer. She has her own film company, and she did a lot to get this movie made, and Sara Coates stars in it. The two have collaborated in the past. It was a really fun conversation because of the two of their history. It was kind of like hanging out with them. They really got each other going, and it was awesome. I didn't have to do much, which as an interviewer was cool because I should keep my mouth shut and let them talk about their project, and they were a really fun interview. Check it out. Hey everyone, Adam here, So Wizard Podcast. I'm sitting down with Angela DiMarco and Sara Coates. They have a new horror movie out, The Parish. How are you two doing?
Living the pandemic dream.
Yeah.
I couldn't be better. Put a question mark at the end of that because it is a pandemic. So who knows what will happen today, but I'm great. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thanks for coming on. This should be fun.
Great. That was awesome. See you guys.
Yep, bye. No stress. Before we jump into The Parish, I always like to ask creative people what was their spark? What got you into, acting in both of your cases? I don't know if someone wants to take lead.
I'll go.
My lady.
I was a huge Shelley Long fan as a kid. And True Beverly Hills is my favorite movie in the world. And not that it is a horror movie in any way, but I just love comedian women of the 80s. And I always thought to myself, I want to do that. I don't know what it is, but I want to do it. And I also have a deep, deep, deep love of horror movies. I am a huge, huge fan. So this opportunity to work with Angela, my character's a little funny, and be in a horror movie, it was just kind of like all my favorite things and all the things that kind of got me into acting rolled into one beautiful package. So that's where I am.
Great. And how about you, Angela?
I was a little kiddo, and a lot of people have seen interviews I've done or read them, and so I won't reiterate all of the details, but long story short, my mom was a single mom and raising two girls on her own. And, we didn't have a lot, but we had each other. So you keep yourself entertained. So I was just always in character and always making my mom and my sister laugh and my nanny laugh. And I loved making people laugh. And I was bullied a lot as a kid because kids can be cruel. So I learned really quickly I could make them laugh with me instead of at me. So much like Sara, I loved comedy. It's ultimately what I studied when I went into a BFA program. It was Commedia dell'arte, but I've always had this sweet spot for horror films. As a kiddo, my uncle Guido would babysit me, and I don't know if my mom knew this, but we would watch Nightmare on Elm Street. And I'm talking like, I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old. Okay. So I loved when I finally got to see an interview with the Freddy Krueger, but it was the actor. And I was like, oh, okay. So that's makeup. Oh, okay. I want to do that. And flash forward to now, I've been in the industry 35 plus years and stage and screen. And I just started producing my own work really about a decade ago, after about 24 short films. David and I, my husband, my partner in all things, we decided to just create our own. And I wanted opportunities for people like Sara. Like I've known Sara since back in the day, the theater world in Seattle, Washington. And I just hate watching those of us, any artist really, having to sit around and wait for opportunities. And we're in a small market. Sara's in a big market now. She's in Los Angeles. But a lot of us, I've stayed in Seattle because my family's here. I have community here. And I feel like I can make a bigger difference here. So I started producing feature films and short films with strong, powerful female roles. And I haven't looked back since. And so The Parish came to be because it was one of those stories that I knew I wanted to tell.
And when Angela says, hey, will you read for this, audition for this, be in this, you run to it? She could be like, I want you to play a trash bag. And I'd be like, what kind? Like, I am in, let's do it. So she it's the environment you want to work with. The people that she brings on and David are this like magical. And I've worked in LA for quite a bit now, but like Seattle film productions, especially Mighty Tripod, it's just the most magical people. And it's an experience like no other. It's supportive, it's fun, and it's like lifelong friends. So, yeah.
I pay her really good.
Best spokesperson you have. So you two started working together, you said, on the stage.
We never got to be in a production together.
But we've seen each other. Seattle theater community is so incredible. I went to the University of Washington, and you just kind of grow in this group. And then, you know, people explored film, and you kind of, it's so welcoming, that community. Still, even when I'm here, those people are like touchstones in my life. And if I were to ever produce something huge here, I would just bring everybody in from Seattle. I'd be like, screw everybody in LA, come on, my Seattle people. So it's just, we would do, I remember watching Angela in a lot of 1448 productions. Her and David are staples. They are the pinnacle. And I'm not trying to be like, you know, like,
no, but it is something. I think I had seen you, I don't know if it was a Shmee show, Theater Schmeater, shout out to Shmee, but I'm always just a Uber fan of many, many artists. But again, with my background, especially when I started producing my own work, even plays, I love lifting up female artists. I just feel like a lot of times we have to work just extra harder, which is why we're so badass, because we've had to work just that bit harder. So I remember seeing Sara on stage multiple times. And then when David and I did a short film, there's a great, and it's actually international, so people listening or watching may already have heard of it, the 48-Hour Film Project. It's this really cool film festival. It happens in all these cities all over the world, where in 48 hours, you got to make a short film. And I reached out to Sara and I was like, oh my God, girl. And we already knew each other. We were already friends. But I said, we never get on stage together. So how about you come and be in a film with me? And she was working at this incredible establishment at the time, which was, shout out to Wexley, this building that had all these different rooms that were already set up in all these different little vignettes of a trailer park, of a Chinese restaurant, of a kind of Lucifer's Den, of all these things. And we ended up pulling the genre silent film. And I'm like, what, the one time I finally get Sara on a project and we can't speak. And it ended up, but shout out to Karma Gettin, Karmagettin, look it up, check it out. It ended up being an incredible piece of art because everyone involved came from the theater. The cast just happened to be all these amazing theater artists, Sharva Maynard, Sara, myself, Tony Dupay, my husband, David. And it was just incredible storytelling that we all got to dive in even deeper because we didn't have the text to hold on to. And I knew I had to work with her again.
Oh, that's awesome. Those are, it's a great start. And it's cool that you knew of each other, even though you didn't get to work on something prior to that.
Yeah. You got to make it happen.
For sure. Yeah.
DIY.
And that's how you got the idea to start your own company, I'm guessing. Like you were saying, you're tired of sitting around and waiting.
It was so, Adam, my mom got taken advantage of a lot by a lot of different, those pay to play agencies or pay to play talent showcases. And I won't throw anyone under the bus, but I was sick of seeing her working 3-4 jobs, and I was a kid, I didn't know any better, but I look back and I'm like, look at all the hundreds or thousands of dollars she spent on something that she probably didn't have to. So I always knew I wanted to teach kids. And I started doing that really early on in my 20s when I was actually living in LA, just to supplement being that kind of starving artist. I started teaching and I was volunteering most of the time, but I was just sharing my experience with parents so they could avoid all those red flags. Then when I moved back to Seattle and met my husband 20 years ago, David, we both knew that we also wanted to teach and work with our peers, with adults as well. So we started teaching workshops that were really concentrating on acting for the camera, because theater education in Seattle is awesome. There's a ton of it, but there's still to this day not a ton of acting for the camera, set etiquette, all of those things for artists who want to either do stage and film or just want to do acting for commercials or voiceovers or whatnot. So we knew after a while teaching in and out of people's garages or renting out different rooms all over town, we got to get our own studio. We got to open our own company. And that's when Mighty Tripod Acting Studio came to life. And then same with Mighty Tripod Productions. We had produced over a dozen shorts at that point, and we wanted to start, putting our animation there in the beginning, have a little Mighty Tripod. But what a lot of people don't know, I mean, a lot of our close friends and students do, our company is actually named after one of our fur babies. Because Adam and Sarah both have dogs, y'all. We all have dogs. We already talked about it. You guys aren't
Shout out
seeing.
to Ruben Wrinkles. It's my
Yep,
dog.
Ruben, Bruno, Adam, what's your dog's name?
Keela.
Keela.
There we go. There we go. Our first dog, Vita, was a boxer pit bull mix. We rescued in LA. Oh, it's gonna make me emotional. And by far, she changed our relationship, because LA as a couple, and we weren't married yet, who's navigating their relationship and careers, it is. You want to test some stuff? Go move to LA together. Right. But she had a lot of dog aggression. She had a lot of issues, and we came together, as you do if you're a good dog owner. And she got cancer many years later, and we had to remove one of her legs, and she became a Mighty Tripod. And she kicked cancer's butt, and we had her for a few more years after that before she passed. And so the company's named after her, and it just fits. It works.
Yeah. I obviously would have assumed tripod, you put a camera on, but that's a much, much better story.
Double meaning. Double meaning.
That's awesome. So you get your company going and you're making shorts. You guys worked together on one. What was your next project together, or was it The Parish?
Did we do another short, Sarah? Did we go?
We're both like looking at
Adam, I'm old. You can't ask me stuff like this.
I think it might have been The Parish, but I feel like it's one of those things, one of those relationships where I think they're very important, especially in this industry. If she needed something, I feel like we've always kind of worked together, because I will be like text to be like, hey, do you know this thing, how to do this? And she'll respond, and I would do the same. So I feel like we're always kind of working together. And like it's you have, I think, especially because this industry can be so saturated, like you were discussing having this acting studio, there are so many scams, and there's so much information you need in this business that is not easily accessible, because there's so much, so you don't know what is true and what's not. So when you find someone you trust, i.e. Angela, i.e. David, i.e. like a lot of the Seattle crew, you just keep coming back to that, and you know that is a place where you can get good information, great work, friendship forever, and dog photographs.
Perfect.
I think it was The Parish, Adam. And I mean, our pre-production, Todd Downing, our writer, shout out to him, years ago, he had a bunch of us over to read scripts. We did this a lot as a group. And this was a group of actors he invited over. And I said to him, someday I want to produce this. And then flash forward when Dave and I were in the position to produce, for me to executive produce, that was one of the first scripts we thought of. So when I approached Todd, we first did some changes. And some of this includes Sarah's role, that there were not only some gender changes where we made some roles female that were male, we did some age changes. My daughter originally was written at much younger, and I asked him if we could make it a teenager, because I knew a lot of the students from our acting studio that I wanted to call into audition. And honestly, Sarah was I'm such a fangirl of hers. For those of you who don't know, hashtag Z Nation, hashtag Pie Girl, like bringing it on this TV show and like blowing up. And I'm just like, feel like such a dork whenever I'm liking her comments or her posts or commenting. And I was like, can I even ask her to audition? But of course,
always.
right. We constantly as friends were just texting each other, keeping each other in the loop. She'd already moved to LA at this time, but Dave and I knew we had to see her for this role. And obviously we let her self-tape. We didn't make her fly into Seattle. And it was something that when we got to callbacks, it was just so clear to David as the director, the chemistry that Sara and I had. Also, what Todd allowed is he let Sara and I riff and just have fun within the structure of what he created. And David knew, I've got my Sandra, let's bring her in. So when we made her the offer and she said yes, and then flash forward to being on set, a lot of the comedy gold that you guys see in this film, and not that Todd can write some comedy, don't get me wrong, but this was Sara. This was Sara just bringing it on the day, in the moment, but never like, hey, we have to do
testament to the script, because if you don't have a good script, you can't improvise off it the way it should be. So when there's already the bones there, and that's what Todd wrote, were the bones, you can add the little things and you can play off each other, because the two of you know the characters so well that when they meet, it's real. So it was written so well that it was easy to do that, because there's been, Angela can attest to this, like, if you have an audition and it's not written very well, it's hard to add a button. It's hard to do those scenes when the material isn't there. So the material was there and it was a pleasure.
It's something too, though, for those of you who've seen the film, and Adam, I'm assuming you got to see it, hopefully.
Unfortunately, I haven't, but I will.
You got to get that screener. We got to get you that screener. But I won't give any spoilers, but what was wonderful too is the relationship that Todd and Sara and David and I established, that our characters go all the way back to, they went to college together. So then and this is not a spoiler, it's very clear on our IMDb that this film also deals with grief, that it's not just a slow burn exorcism film. It also deals with grief. My character's husband dies at war, saving a child's life. It's something that's very real. It's something that's very powerful, very heartbreaking, but everybody in the film has their own grief or own hurdle that they're going through. But it's something, when you think of like a college friend, those years when everything's like, oh, and then for them to get reconnected when my character Liz is at one of her lowest, it was such a breath of comedic fresh air, but also real, to have Sara's character, be this light who's also like trying to help a friend that she hasn't seen in over a decade. And what do? Oh, here's some wine, or, oh, here's this gift, or, oh, let me make a joke, and, oh God, foot in my mouth. And every time Sara would have some amazing button to a scene, it just was like, oh, there's their relationship. That's how Sara and I would be if the cameras weren't rolling. If I'm crying in front of the fire with her drinking wine, she'd be like, okay, let's fill them up, and we'll fill those glasses up. So, and working with you, girl, oh my God, our fireplace scene, when you guys do get to see the film, there was takes that we just couldn't stop crying.
Yeah.
And then there was takes we just couldn't stop crying.
And a lot of the time, if you are the comedic relief, or if you're typecast in a certain way, which I am, which I like, it's my favorite place to play. But then chatting with Angela and the writer and the director, and letting us have an emotional scene. And I truly believe that comedic actors are the best dramatic actors, and they rarely get to go there, probably because they had trauma in their childhoods, and that's why they are funny. But it's so fun and thrilling to be able to play those more dramatic scenes with that light underneath. I think out of all of them, that was my favorite scene to do in the entire thing, was just sitting by that fire, and it was very intimate and it was very fun. And I think, you were speaking on grief, especially with what the world is going through right now. Everyone is dealing with grief. There's a point, when we made the film, not everyone in the world maybe deals with grief in such a way, but right now it's so heavy that I think it's going to be an interesting watch for people as well, because they'll relate.
Get that connection. It's
Yeah.
it's interesting because you both mentioned independently that you were inspired by comedy and always loved horror, and now you've both kind of made mention that to do a really good dramatic role, it helps to have that kind of comedic background.
Hmm.
I don't know if there's a way you could elaborate on it. I mean, I don't know if it's sequentially in your head or if it just happens to be that way, but I find it very interesting.
I think everybody, even at our studio, so David and I don't teach one method. We're teaching artists multiple things that are going to connect with them or not. And they're going to pick and choose. And that's what I've always done as an artist. A lot of what I pull from is myself. I'm never just diving into a character and Angela's gone. It's always Angela at the core. And so I've already shared with you guys a lot of where me trying to, I love making people laugh. I think laughter is the best medicine. And I will forever remember my great grandmother, my nanny, Lillian, who only spoke Italian. And I never spoke really that much Italian, but I was a kiddo and ultimately could talk with her. I mean, to this day, I remember being with her and having these conversations. So who knows what that was? But I loved making her laugh. And I will always remember her throwing her slipper at the TV and in Italian saying, "That should be you. That should be you." And I'm like, all right, I'm on it, and I'm like 6, 7, 8 years old. But then I learned, and I had the amazing opportunity to work with Sir Alan Ayckbourn, who is a phenomenal writer, educator, artist. And he said, whenever there is darkness, there must be light. And he said, think of it like the shadows. The sun could be shining the brightest as possible, but when those rays hit certain areas, shadows are created, right? These rays of light, there's got to be shadows. So with all comedy, there's got to be drama. And with all drama, there's got to be comedy. Because if you ever watch even just a full feature film that's a comedy, when that scene ultimately comes, when the drama has to happen for a little bit. We need that. And then even with films like ours, and not all films do this, but for us, we knew we didn't want it to just be bogged down with only the weight of grief or only the exorcism supernatural, that we wanted it to seem relatable. We wanted it to be believable. And sometimes in our darkest moments, you can't help but crack up. Or you have that friend who makes sure, hey, let's have this moment and forget all the negativity for just 2 seconds. And I think with Sandra and Liz in this film, that's what Sandra gives us, not only the audience, but these characters. So as an artist, for me personally, it really is how I deal with life. Everyone calls me Mama DiMarco here in Seattle for a reason. I'm constantly lifting people up, trying to make them smile and laugh, but I'll also be the first person in my class who gets emotional. And I already got emotional in this interview. And I share that. I do not hide my grief. So I think as an artist, you really, as an individual, have to be empathetic and put that into your art. And in this country, we're often taught to hide all of that and just always pretend everything's okay. Everything's okay. And why not actually just share both sides? I think it's a lot more relatable.
Yeah, definitely a lot more real.
Yeah.
And I think comedy too is best when it's played in complete truth. And instead of putting on, like she was saying, like pretending everything's okay, you can't pretend that this is funny. It's playing the truthful moment and those awkward life moments. It's based in truth. So I think those moments, those comedic moments in this film are fully based in truth because every day something weird happens. And if you can't look at it and go, that's the weirdest thing that's ever happened to me and find the humor in it, I think that's not a fun life. So that's kind of where I stand with it. I and why I enjoy comedy so much and why I think it really relates to, like you were saying, the two sides of the coin, drama and or even horror. Horror is so the other side. And so when they come together, for me, it's something so special.
Mm.
Absolutely, I like that. That was very well put, both of you. It's a lot to mull over. Jumping back to the Parish, when did you start production on it?
Oh God. Okay. So we're in 2021.
I had bangs.
2020, 2019,
Oh,
2018. So was it like 20, probably end of 2016, started like we're producing into 2017, this is going down. Filming into 2018, any pickups, wrapping up filming, and then of course epic post. And I think what a lot of people, at least for me, indie film or not, when I say indie meaning lower budget film or not, independently financed, independently made, right? We took our time. And we warned everybody. I was like, I'm so sorry, but like, we really want to make this good, let alone the climax, the huge, I won't, again, spoilers for anyone, but like when Sister Beatrice, Father Felix, Liz, and Audrey, like this epic scene in the church, we had a lot of stuff we had to bring together, making sure, and our score, oh my God, Catherine Joy, shout out. Catherine is unbelievable to work with. She brought the film all the way to the next level. And it was something that she and I were just working back and forth with every moment, with making themes for the characters, and not making it heavy handed. I love a good score, don't get me wrong, but I want you guys to go on the journey you want to. And I think some people are going to pick a different path. This film has several paths you can take. So the pandemic hit. So we literally were like, we're happy, we're done, we're good. We were already getting distribution offers pretty early on before we were even fully wrapped up with post, which was awesome. I also led that charge, which was very telling, what it is to be on this side, to be a female executive producer. Many calls of like, oh, is, the executive producer there? Yep, you're talking to her. Or, oh, can I talk to David? Nope, that's our director, but you could talk to me. I'm the one who's going to sign on the deal or not. So that took some time that I didn't rush. And then the pandemic hit and it was like everything stopped. But it gave us also more time to look at, okay, are these deals what we want? Are these deals as good as we can get? And we want people to see this film, but we want to be taken care of. I have many friends in this industry who've never seen a dime, who've been taken advantage of, who you still can't even find their films, but they're supposedly distributed. So it was also shout out to our amazing entertainment lawyer, Steve Edmondson, who was like, run, nope, oop, bad, oop, ugh. And then we were like back to zero. And this wonderful team, our buyers reps, John and Adams are awesome, at Safuno Ventures said, hey, we've heard about your film. Can we help you out? And they're the ones who connected us with Uncorked Entertainment. And they have been unbelievable. Our press, our marketing, everything we've been able to do. The fact we're going to be in stores March 16th. I love that we have the DVD kind of situation available, and then streaming would obviously come next. We skipped the whole theatrical because #pandemic. So there are things that, of course, I'm bummed getting into festivals and none of us got to go. You got to stream it, but it's been a hurdle, and it's been many years in the making. But it just feels like this was the time. So I'm not upset. It's just, if anything, I think taught me more of like what to do next for our next feature.
Well,
That's
it
great.
probably, with the pandemic, gave, you have to look at the blessings behind it, like getting the production company that you did and learning, and that full stop, I think, has made people in this industry kind of go like, oh, who do I like to work with? What do I like to do? I'm not going to accept less. And I think before it was so fast paced that you're like, I'll accept whatever, I'll take whatever. Like, I feel like a lot of my career in the beginning was like, yes, like just chaos, because I was like, this is my last opportunity. You always assume like I'm done now. So I feel like, I think in that sense, it's kind of a blessing, and
Yeah.
hopefully, because people will be at home, more eyes will get on it. That's what I thought. It was like, oh, this is the perfect movie to sit down after work and just watch from your couch. Like, this will be fun, scary, you'll cry. It's just that kind of movie that you want to watch streaming. I think it's a great thing.
Yeah. Have your bottle. If you drink wine, definitely a wine movie. We've already had some fans who must have saw it in some of the festivals, but they were like, oh, great drinking game. Every time Liz or Sandra has wine or brings wine. And I was like, I don't know if people will get to the end of the movie. They'll be or they'll get to the end and they'll be like, yeah.
Best movie ever. That's when you tweet about it. Hashtag the Parish.
That's awesome. So you said it comes out on physical media March 16th.
Yes.
And when is the VOD date?
So right now we're in negotiations for things. So I know right now, like the in stores, and you can pre-order on Amazon. So if you want that Blu-ray, that DVD, that's what we're doing right now, which I think makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
And then I know Uncorked I don't think I can say what platforms, but negotiating and talking with other platforms. And I'm sure we will be shouting that from the rooftops when we can.
Awesome. Yeah. I love that you're still doing the physical media, because I feel like it's becoming a thing of the past, and I don't want it to be, but
me neither. Oh, good, Adam. Good.
Holding physical copies.
Yeah, but
you better believe everyone in my life is getting a copy. She's going on to order.
Oh yeah. It's happening. It's happening.
That's excellent. Do you want to tell everybody where they can find you, your socials, and the Parish socials?
Sure. For the Parish, Parish is on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at the Parish Movie. If you want to follow our acting studio, our production company, it's at Mighty Tripod. We're on TikTok. Be very warned. Dave and I don't know what we're doing because, we're in our 40s, but we're on TikTok, we're on YouTube, we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, and we're on Twitter. And then me at I'm Angela DiMarco on all the platforms. My lady?
Instagram is the hub, the home where you'll see my dog and my self-deprecating love of comedy at Scoatsy. It's SCOATESY. When Instagram came out, I didn't realize that you needed like a name that went along with your acting career. So, and I don't know how to change it. So that's where we are. And then at SL Coates on Twitter. I am on TikTok as well. But I just do my dog and my fiance dancing or whatever. So I don't really make debuts there. I'm too old as well. I enjoy it, but it also scares me. So that's where I am.
And you can follow both of our dogs. Yeah. Our dog is Bruno.the.magnificent, Facebook and Instagram. Shout out to Ruben, Sara.
Ruben is at Ruben Wrinkles. I gave my last name.
We're not
great name.
Like the sandwich.
They'll go viral. Bruno and Ruben will go. Great.
That's awesome. Well,
really quick.
Yeah.
Hold on before we do this. Ruben was in the Carmageddon short film and replaced. Who did he replace as God?
I don't remember, but I know that. Spoiler alert: Ruben is God.
Ruben plays God, and it was pretty wonderful. And so he's also an actor.
Oh, there you go. Acting family. That's awesome. Thank you both for taking the time to come on. I really appreciate it. That was a lot of fun, and you guys made my job very easy. So thank you for that.
Thank you, Adam. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
And I'm looking forward to checking out the movie. Sorry I didn't get to before, but I definitely will get on that. And everyone listening should definitely, because it sounds like it's a lot of fun.
Everybody be safe.
Yes, you too.
Bye.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
I'd like to thank Angela DiMarco and Sara Coates one more time for coming on to talk about their new movie, The Parish. Like I said, it's coming out March 16th on VOD. Thanks for watching. Please make sure to subscribe to our channel. Lots more interviews, lots more new movie coverage coming your way. You're not going to want to miss out. Also, make sure to listen to So Wizard Podcast every single week, wherever you get your podcasts. SoWizardPodcast.com is your resource for reviews, recommendations, merchandise, and more. So Wizard Podcast can also be found on Patreon, where for as little as $1 a month you get multiple monthly bonus shows. We love hearing feedback, so drop us a note in the comments, leave us something on social media. All the accounts can be found after the show and in the show notes. And on a personal level, I released a comic book this year. Issue 1 came out in January. We're doing one issue a month for the whole first chapter. The whole first chapter is all ready to go, so you're not going to hit any delays. Please check it out, socialstudiescomic.com. Thank you.